Hey everyone, Jordan here with 9 to 5 Toys. I've played quite a few arcade games in the past with light guns and even had House of the Dead for my old Xbox. So when PDP reached out about trying out the Mars Lightcon and IR station, I was pretty excited to see how it works on my Xbox One. So let's open it up and check it out. Thanks for watching 9 to 5 Toys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and enable notifications with the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. So the main piece of what PDP sent me was the Big Buck Hunter version of the starter pack. There are two other titles available, a Voyage of the Dead and also Cubits Quest. They also sent me download codes for, so I was able to try all three of those. But this was the first package that we got. And then they also sent a couple of additional Lightcons so that we could try out multiplayer gaming as well. So let's take a look at what's inside of the starter pack for the Big Buck Hunter arcade. Packaging on the system is pretty simple, but everything looks secure inside. Inside the starter pack we find the IR station, one Lightcon, a USB cable for the station, and a quick start guide, and download codes for whatever package you ordered. So the Lightcon itself feels great in the hand. It actually has a little bit of weight to it, so it doesn't feel super cheap. And then it has a few buttons on it. We'll take a look at those real quick. So obviously we have the trigger, and then we have kind of a reload function here on the barrel, which can be various different controls. Then there's a button on the back, which they call the back button, and then there's a power button on the right side here. And you push that and it'll turn on, and this will actually change to a different color, and that'll coincide with the game that you're playing so that you know which character you are in the game. And it has a very simple sight here on the top as well. And then here we have the IR station, or the camera. So obviously you can see this is where the lens is. You want to make sure that that is pointing towards your television. And then here's the little plug for the USB cable. And on the back of it, you can see there's this light will light up to let you know the status. If it's blinking, that means it's ready to pair and you can sync up a light gun to it. And so in order to fit different TVs and different room layouts, this camera will tilt up and down on here. So you can see there it's pointing quite a bit up, and then you can, if you don't need to do that, you can point it directly at the TV. So depending on what your setup is, that'll be easy to dial into your TV. So getting everything set up was pretty easy and straightforward. First you need to make sure you download the game, and then once you go into a game and start playing through the menu, it'll bring up a little calibration screen. And so that's when you need to set the camera at an appropriate distance, and it'll have a little logo that you need to line up with the camera, which way it's pointing. So it'll guide you through that, and it's pretty easy and pretty intuitive. I did find that at first I think I had it too close to the screen and it was having a little bit of trouble calibrating, so I just backed it up a little bit further, and then it was able to line up and calibrate really easily. And then if the light back here is blinking, that means it's ready to pair, and so you can sync up one of your Lightcons or your light gun, and then you should be ready to go. It kind of feels weird just talking with the gun in my hand, but I'm going to keep doing it. So the first game that I played, obviously since it was the Big Buck Hunter arcade starter pack, I started with that game. And, what can you say about it? It is basically the same game that came out, in the arcade in 2000. So the graphics aren't great. The load times are really long. The gameplay is probably about as long as the load times. And, there are random things in there like Alex, the trail guide, who's scantily clad and supposed to help you with something. I don't know. I wasn't really a fan of it in the arcade when it came out, and I mean, I'm not a super big fan of it here playing on my couch either. If it is something obviously it's a very popular title, so if that is something that you enjoyed in the arcade, you'll probably, enjoy it just as much playing from your couch with a wireless controller, which is, really convenient for playing a game like this. And then we were also able to check out the two other titles available, which are Voyage of the Dead and Cubits Quest. So, I mean, what would a light gun be without a title about killing zombies? So, Voyage of the Dead, it's a lot of fun. Everything plays through pretty well. I am playing on the original Xbox One, and there was some stuttering whenever an achievement would be unlocked, which would make the gameplay kind of difficult. But yeah, that was only when achievements were being unlocked, which was really odd. And then the rest of the gameplay was pretty smooth. I mean, it's, has some fun characters. The main character's commentary can get a little redundant, a little bit old as the story progresses, but you know, it's not that bad. It's still a fun game with a nice variety of weapons and, you know, civilian rescue situations and different enemies, so it's a fun game to play. And there is a bit of input lag with the Lightcon, and so you'll notice that if you're, you know, trying to track a target. They had a couple of different, almost more, you know, skeet shooting kind of arcade games that you could play within Voyage of the Dead, and that made it a little bit difficult when trying to track some of those. But in the normal gameplay, you can line up the reticle and, you know, line it up on your targets, and it's pretty easy and straightforward and tracked about as well as I would expect it to. And then the last title we got to check out, Cubits Quest. That's a fun game where, you know, the main character is a robot dog going through these different areas with some hostile other robots, and a unique feature of this is that you actually control the robot a little bit, as well as, you know, shoot different obstacles and opponents along the way. So by pushing the back button, you can jump or double jump to get over obstacles. So it just adds a different level of gameplay to it, which was kind of refreshing to have something else to focus on rather than, you know, just picking out targets and shooting. You actually had to watch your robot as well and make sure that they weren't going to run into any traps or fall into any holes. And then there are also some arcade modes built in where it also plays kind of like Duck Hunt, where the robot dog is there, you know, barking when some drones are about to fly up, and I half expected him to jump over the foreground and giggle at me whenever I missed. So really, I think that one of the only drawbacks to this system is the lack of available games. I mean, there are 3 titles, 2 of which I'd say are really fun. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the Big Buck Hunter arcade. Not my cup of tea. I know some people probably really enjoy that. The other 2 titles are fun, but, you know, I'm sure it can feel a little bit limited after that. So hopefully more titles become available that you can play, because overall, I mean, the build quality on this and I think the performance are all pretty good. You know, the starter packs are $100, and then the additional light guns are $30. So if you've had an Xbox or PlayStation and, you know, you're looking for something new to do with it, this is a fun way to expand, you know, your game library, and also brings back some of that local multiplayer feel if that's something you're looking for. So overall, the Mars Lightcon is a fun way to play some titles from your couch. Everything feels very well built, very solid, and performance is right where I would expect it to be. Really, the only downside that I see, the only thing lacking, is the number of games available. I do hope that more titles become available, because I do think this could be a really fun way to play more games with a light gun on your Xbox or PS4. So what do you think of the Mars Lightcon from PDP? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9to5 Toys.